So we didn't get it on video yesterday, but a black racer laid eggs on the sidewalk yesterday, not buried them anywhere, not put them in the compost or any kind of brush pile or anything. So those 5 eggs were brought to me. Okay, I was interrupted. Obviously, you probably heard him screaming in the background. Those 5 eggs were brought to me, and I said, well, I can put them in this raised bed here, raised bed number 1. I lightly put some dirt over the eggs, put a little bit of hay there to like hold in some moisture and stuff, and I put a piece of concrete or a rock right there so that I'll know not to dig in that area. So these guys may or may not hatch in about 2 months, but hopefully they do. We like black racers here. And these raised beds, are always composting down, decomposing, and they like incubate. They got heat for incubation. So hopefully the hay will keep it somewhat moist in the rains. And if it doesn't, we don't get a lot of rain and it gets too hot and dry, we'll just spray it down with a little bit of water. Sorry, we were interrupted again. Okay. So it's supposed to be 48 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. So this is like 2 or 3 nights where it's, in the last month or so, where we were supposed to have our last cool nights, but I guess it didn't work out that way. So from the looks of it, I think we have 7 blueberry plants to plant, and I don't know where they're gonna go. So we planted, 2 or 3? So we got some more gladiolas coming up, and our first daffodil, Peruvian daffodil, is starting to sprout. So these are the pineapple guavas we planted yesterday, or was it yesterday and the day before? I can't even remember. Everything's so hectic. They're not drooping now because we had a nice little rain yesterday, a few little rains, at least late in the evening and in the night, early night. So here we are another hour or so later, and keep getting called in from the kids and Natalie and everything constantly. Where you at, Daddy? Daddy, come here. Gotta go to the bathroom, this and that. I hope that sometime soon all the kids will be back in some sort of daycare type program. That's all I can say about that. But we were calling our internet provider to cancel for the second time. First time when we were doing Starlink, they said, let me just give you a month free so you can trial Starlink internet for a month. And if it doesn't work out, you still keep your service. So we called them back after testing, T-Mobile 5G home internet for a little while. And they said, okay, you can keep your home phone and everything for something like $35 a month. We're like, we don't use the home phone. We have cellular phones. They said, oh, in that case, $25 a month for a DSL service. They're kind of throwing offers that seem too good to be true at us right now to try to keep the DSL, because everybody is trying to, upgrade, from T-Mobile 5G and fiber and all these other options, and Verizon and everybody that has these options on their cell providers and hotspots and stuff. So we said, well, is that offer going to be valid if we cancel now and trial, T-Mobile 5G for a month or 2? They said no, but they said we can give you 2 free months of service, so we'll have 3 months of service free to trial T-Mobile 5G home internet. And then since we're not canceling the service, they said, we'll lock in that $25 rate if we decide to stay with them. So when you sign up, or when you're a long-term customer, I should say, with Windstream, you do get the short end of the stick for the most part, because the sign-up bonuses are so much better. Right now they're advertising, the service, DSL service, 25 megabit service for $50 for locked in for 3 years. I think it includes 1 year of the modem rental. Then it's like, $10 or $15, I guess, after that a month to rent the actual gateway modem router. And then you have us that have had it for 5+ years. that, you know, and we've been on Windstream for, you know, a lot longer than that. But when we transferred the service over to Natalie, we, you know, after the affordable connectivity program ends or whatever, we would have been paying like $130 a month. So we are definitely getting the short end of the stick, unless they did decide to offer something like that to us. And, you know, they didn't say they'd lock in the rate or for how long. I do have reservations about, you know, the T-Mobile 5G and their deprioritization after that 1.2 terabytes of data being transferred in a month. You know, how they throttle you or whatever they do to you. So, are we going to hit that, you know, sometimes, especially if we're uploading, you know, more 4K videos and stuff like that? It's a possibility, you know. When I log on to Windstream, I can see my data usage for the month, but I can't see like how much I was using in total, like month by month to see. But my highest data rate or whatever was something around 55 or 60 gigabytes in one day, but that's high. It averaged around 9 to 25 gigabytes transfers, downloads, and uploads, I guess you'd say, where we're streaming video from the kids' TVs and Natalie's TV, and doing maybe a little bit of a YouTube uploading as well. So hopefully by trialing 2 extra months, we can determine how much data we're using in a month, or, you know, month by month, and see if we need to just go back to DSL, or see if we could do, you know, DSL at $25 and then T-Mobile at $50 a month. Maybe have both services. Obviously utilizing the higher upload speed of T-Mobile for YouTube, and using the T-Mobile for, you know, the streaming and stuff when DSL goes out or has these intermittent problems, which they seem to have pretty frequently. In the last video, garden and life vlog video we did and uploaded, we put in the description something like, we don't know if we're even going to have our second season, our planned stuff for the second season completed at the end of this season, because, you know, all the hectic, chaotic nature, everything going on right now. But I guess we can talk a little bit more about our garden endeavors and, you know, get away from that, you know, internet, that technical, that nerdy, that, you know, boring stuff. Because, I mean, most likely you're here on these videos, this set of videos, for the gardening endeavors. So where we are here with the first raised bed and the second raised bed, we also started working on a little raised bed behind the persimmons and all, kind of close to raised bed number 2. It'll probably be a little short bed for something. And then also here by the little barn area, this is, you know, the monkey wrench bed number 2 that we're working on. But again, we're waiting for the dewberries to, like, you know, give us all of their dewberries for this season, Mother Nature to do it, and then we'll probably just start hacking away there and creating the other bed and finishing it up. I think we want to do just in the last. You hear that? Anyway, moving this swing set and that other swing system there out of the way, we could probably put a 20-foot run similar to that raised bed 1, but of course that was a huge undertaking to build that over several months. Jump, kids, jump, run, jump, run, jump, jump. Whoa! Here we go. Jonathan, jump. Jonathan, whee! Oh, wee. We probably need to get rid of that old tractor and then move this trampoline way back there so we can do some more stuff up here where it's a little bit more sunshine and stuff. I mean, you know, they're in the east, there's a lot of shade, but not a whole lot in the west. This is the same area we have one of our sugar bell tangelos, which is where an old burn pile used to be, and then we started stacking up, you know, tree pieces and stuff, and that'll break down over time and feed this. This would be a bed in itself almost if you just handled it right. So we got this guy here, and this gets pretty wet. It's not the wettest area in our yard, but in this area, it's probably the wettest area in this section of the yard though. Well, about 30 minutes later, we got our antenna kit to upgrade or see if we can get a better signal with our T-Mobile 5G router. I wasn't expecting that until tomorrow, so I thought I was done talking about that in this video. But check out, I got some more watermelons. I kind of said I may not try them again this season because the ants got them when we had the sprouts, so it might even be too late in the season. I'm not sure. And yes, this is only a 50-cent pack, and I think, you know, the sprouting rate and stuff like that, germination rate's pretty good on these guys. The main reason why they're cheap is because they have very little seeds in them. You know, there might be like 5 or 6 or 7 seeds in this thing instead of, you know, maybe like 30 in like a $2 or $3 pack. But yeah, we're gonna plant these guys right here where the ant bed is, where we planted them before, but a little bit away from the ant bed, you know, just spread them out all over here and see what happens. Okay, so I put them kind of along this broken tree on that side, and probably spaced them every 14 to 16 inches. So we'll see if they come up. And we had like 3 or 4 seeds left, so I just kind of put them in different areas in wetlands on one. Check this out. Our Cattleya or strawberry or lemon or yellow guava number 2 has started to produce its flowers there, open its flowers up. So now we have 2 of them actively blooming. So this is the antenna here. And it looks like you got multiple mounting options. You got like an indoor stand here. You got a suction cup mount for like a window. You got a wall mount where you can screw it to the wall. And you got this pole mount. So if you got a pole, you use these cable ties and screw these thumb screws into the mounting plate. And I guess we'll see how it works with this one. If this doesn't work, we might have to use it, you know, in a wall mount, or you like move the router or something, or maybe the table mount. So we went from 2 bars to 3 up, and it's going back down to 2. But the band it is connecting to is the N41 versus what is it, N71, which is a faster speed band. So it may be okay, but we probably could get it better if we experiment enough with placement of the router and the antenna, maybe putting it somewhere else. We got like a 10-foot cable, so N41 doesn't travel as much as far as distance wise as N71, but it has much faster speeds, and we're going to look at the speed test we just did. So I think when we first got it, it did stay on like the N41 band for a little while. Then it changed to N41, or N71 I should say, and then it got down to like 100 megabits per second or so, or less. So moving that antenna, even though it says the signal is either the same or reverting from 3 bars to 2, the speeds are definitely back to that 200 to 300 megabit per second speeds, and that is without doing a lot of tinkering with position. So once we start doing tinkering, you know, the position of the antenna and router, then we may be able to get another bar or 2 and, you know, stabilize it even more. And we went with the Waveform antenna kits based on reviews and stuff. So these guys are not cheap, but this is their cheaper omnidirectional version. It's almost like $400 or more for the directional antenna, the kit. Several hours later, and I replaced the battery on our van, and we went with a slightly bigger cranking amps battery, but basically the same general model as we had. So we got all these like fuses and stuff for the wheelchair ramp, the power inverter, and a variety of other things. These are not cheap either. They're like $220 for a good quality Napa battery. It's kind of hard to do a garden vlog lately without kind of adding those life vlog elements as well. So, you know, it is what it is. These wax beans definitely look worse for wear lately. Buttons, gardenia, or whatever it is, dwarf, has been looking so bad. But check that out. We got a flower and a bunch of blooms here. They have not quite opened up. Check this out. The asparagus I just planted a few days ago, a week ago or whatever, is starting to get little micro sprouts. And we can look at our original seedlings here. These are over a year old. So they do take a really long time, you know, to get going and get a good size. But if you want like 50 or 100 or whatever, it's going to be way cheaper to do that and just wait 2 or 3 or 4 years than to just buy like 50 roots, or what they call crowns. Look at there, more dewberries. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we were planning to have white mulberry pie this season to try, you know, just add some lemon juice for that tartness and flavor to see how it compares to the dwarf black everbearing. We had like 2 or 3 days where we could have went out there and got them. They were just plentiful, and then the birds just basically wiped them out. So probably 90% plus chance that we're not going to get them or enough to make a pie. So we may not even collect any at all. Remember, in many cases, people use mulberries to take, you know, to bring the birds and squirrels and other wildlife to those plants and away from their other crops. For the most part, I think the white mulberries are, you know, attract birds more than the black ones. But even you know, now most of the red and the black, or whatever you're going to call them, hybrids between red and white, are, you know, decimated. There definitely is a little bit of nibble here and there, but probably not enough to get, you know, pounds and pounds for a pie. Let's go back way here in kind of the ill area of wetland zone 1 and check out that pecan tree that we planted that was grafted last year. It looks so much better. We had maybe 10-12 inches of dieback. Well, I mean, you can see it right here, but look at it. This is all above the graft. It didn't die below the graft or anything, so it's coming out super bushy, and it looks great so far. So we're going to briefly look at the white mulberry tree. So nothing hardly there, just some like super underripe mulberries here and there and everywhere. Actually, not really here, there, and everywhere, just here and there. You know, the birds and squirrels have just decimated it entirely. But I guess we can look at the apple here. We planted the Anna apple in this aged kind of wood chip raised alternative bed, and it's still looking good. No problems. Nothing really, you know, interesting to see so far. We'll keep an eye on it for, you know, a couple years, see how it does, you know. And we still have a corner over there. Maybe we can put something else there, you know, if we can clear all those weeds and elderberries and stuff out of there later. So we're back at the wettest part of our property where we planted the avocado in this other aged wood chip raised alternative bed. The avocado still looks kind of sad. I think we're due for probably a leaf drop and then hopefully a reset. But check this out. There are some new leaves budding out right there. So I would not be surprised if we don't drop all of our older leaves and just start looking better. Just reset. I'm seeing a lot of leaf growth here on this pawpaw that I grafted with the KSU Atwood scion wood. I think we might need to loosen this bag a little bit and look and see what it looks like. Unfortunately, it wasn't the scion wood that was leafing out. It was below it. So, I mean, there are some buds there which may or may not do anything. We did 2 grafts. Neither one of them are showing anything. So this might be a failure, or we might just need to wait a few weeks and see. You win some, you lose some. It's possible we just did the scion, the graft, you know, a week or so too late. Or, you know, it may come back, but leafing out right below a graft is usually a bad sign. So we're at the original Suriname cherry here. about 2 years ago, we got a really nice, I guess, weird weather freeze that really put a, major damage on it. Here's like the original part of the tree that's like dead. So it kind of come back from the lower trunk and roots to be a little bit more sprawling and shrub-like. But it hasn't flowered in 2 years. So it's kind of reset itself as well. Hopefully next year, if we don't get any weird weather, we'll get some flowers. It usually flowers in the wintertime. Great camouflage. I briefly looked at the third pawpaw graph from the little piece I had from the KSU Atwood, and it doesn't look like it's going to take either. I mean, things could change, something might take, but just doesn't look good right now. There's a little birdie. Well, some people might show just the glory and the fun and the successes of gardening or whatever endeavors you have. But, we're going to show the failures too. It may just be that I need to improve my grafting methods, my technique. So for our cassava, we've had a pretty good rooting success, it looks like here. And several of them that we thought were probably going to be goners in the cold weather are coming back either at the tops or at the bottoms. Those jaboticaba or jaboticabas, the sabars or sabaras, they still seem to be good, even though we, had really long, tender root systems that obviously got torn a little bit when we transplanted them into containers. They must be tough plants because they are all alive. If you've been watching for a long time, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, this is raised bed 1, and you could have seen how barren it was, from after the winter. And you've seen it lush and green like this, but probably way more lush. But now, just in the last few weeks, we already got a lot of green filled areas here, and probably by June it'll be like entirely covered. We got some of our baby figs here, so maybe in a month or two we'll have some ripe figs to eat. That's from our large 40-plus-year-old Celeste. Of course, I can't wait to try the other selections or cultivars that we have when they actually are, when they produce fruit, figs. There are definitely, a lot of stressors and, thinking that we may not get everything done in season 2, like I said previously. And what usually comes to mind is all the raised age wood chip, alternative beds that we're working on or plan to make. But there are other things like more fig cultivars to plan out that probably will not be in these raised beds. And, we got a few pomegranates and a few other things as well. But, the biggest thing is the raised beds, finishing and starting, and the pineapple guavas. We really need to get those pineapple guavas in the ground somewhere. Those larger ones are just too stressed out in their own buckets. They're just ready to go. They're either happy or sad. Just like comfrey, we have an issue of comfrey being happy or sad. But, they either need a really larger transplant, with some kind of potting soil or mulch over top of the soil that keeps them, the feeder roots moist, and they can get rain and then have a really dry, hot day, and they're already wanting more water. So it's going to be better to get them in the ground ASAP. So yeah, and doing all of the post mycorrhizal beds, as kind of like an extension of the aged wood chip raised beds. I think that's going to make a lot of things happier. Again, I don't really have too much proof of that. I mean, I see some, resemblance of pretty positive results, but it's definitely a little bit too early to say 100%. But I have a feeling, the more you do, the better it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be a good thing for most plants, that may just not be happy because of the lack of water, retention on their feeder roots and stuff like that. I think it's going to make a And then, you know, too much moisture and root density causing issues, like too much moisture causing bacterial root rot, which, you know, a lot of plants can suffer in the swamp or borders of swampland here. Although there are a lot of stressors in life right now, I'm still not losing my enthusiasm and, you know, and the excitement, you know, about plants and planting and learning and trying to make things that may not be happy, make them happy, and try to get things that may otherwise not survive at all survive. So, you know, you're on a ride with me. You're coming along. You know, the longer you watch the videos, the more you hopefully will learn. Whether or not you like me talking a lot versus planting, I'm definitely sharing my thoughts sometimes more than actually working. And I know that people might want to see me piece by piece, you know, build these raised beds like I was doing before. You know, here's camphor, here's tallow tree, here's some maple, here's that, throwing them on there. You know, maybe that'll happen again, you know, in the future, but it's just, everything's so hectic, and it's a little bit hard to do that and focus on something for, you know, because before we were trying to build these smaller beds in one session, maybe 2-3 sessions at max, you know, and doing all that stuff. But now, you know, I may take days or a week to do a bed, maybe more than that now, you know, until things start calming down. And I also hate to feel rushed and hate to portray me as being somebody rushing to do something, like a chicken with its head cut off or something, just scrambling it here, there, and everywhere, you know. And that's, you know, that's not fun. It's not easy right now. So we will try to see what we can do, and just, you know, let's hope that we get what we plan done for season 2 done. And let's hope that by season 3 we can be focused again on where we need to be in the garden, because these experiments, you're not going to learn, I'm not going to learn fully, you know, in 1 to 2 seasons. It's going to probably be 5 seasons before we can say some definitive, you know, stuff, you know, definitive results, and give those to you and have them for ourselves, you know. So I think we're going to end it here. Take care, guys.